At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
About your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe community, heart,
Oh, beautiful, for spacious sky, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain.
Did we or did we not tell you
America,
that the 6th of January 2021 was going to be historic? And now we are here on January 7th, 2021, the aftermath, but just the beginning of the Capitol breach. The message to the American black. What's going on, people? Welcome to episode 71 of #Observations TFR on the spot. let me get ready. You know, you had to have your hat on to keep from having all the debris flying on your head when people are in the Capitol destroying the Capitol, right? We want to shout out to everyone that is watching us right now. Can you hear me? Am I good? That's right. Thank you very much. Listen, the phone lines are open 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. The Capitol breach. The message to American blacks, right? What is the message to American blacks? Not only did we build that boy, not only did Benjamin Banneker design that boy, but people who would not have had the intellect or the ability to build it dare go there at the behest of a president ending his first and only term, and go there and breach it. But they go there and they have black Capitol Police running in the other direction. They have other Capitol Police that look more like them, egging them on. Smash the share button, smash the like button, because we are going somewhere today. Let's read the opening here. It's Truth Thursday on Observations TFR, and we take a look at certain uncomfortable truths. How is it possible to view the same, see something totally different? Was there a breach at the Capitol, or were those good, God-fearing supporters patriots? How do we fall out of the wash into the dryer to get sober from the elixirs of misinformation? What is the message to American blacks watching the 6 o'clock curfew come and go to see police talking and taking selfies with the white rioters? Every Thursday, we take a look at and break down the misinformation with fact and study. This week we discuss what is an agenda and what agenda do we find ourselves in right now, which we must overcome. The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358. Tell your people to come in. I see Stu is watching. What's going on with Stu this morning? Stuart Elsie. Listen. We have hit a point of no return. We have hit a point of no return. And before we get started, you know where we're going. We're going to the memes, because, boy, there were multiple memes on this.
I'm sure.
We even put together, yours truly, the filmmaker himself, Crazy D, put together a video package. Some things you might not have seen on the sanitary news. We go all over the globe to find what this news media will not show you. The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358, right? We didn't do a question this morning on Thursday because there are so many questions swirling. How come at 6 o'clock, when the black mayor put down the curfew, didn't the police start bashing heads like they do when it's a protest that has to do with not necessarily Black Lives Matter, but Black Life black life being taken. Another question. Were those who first initially broke the barricade, were they anarchists or accelerationists? So many questions to answer this morning, right? So many questions to answer, right? I see Miss Ash just came in. I see Tanya, I see Tracy Latrice is on. I want to say good morning to all of you. Look, we are at a point of no return. But before we begin, let me introduce my co-host, my special co-host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm gonna borrow your coin term this morning and say, as well as to be expected under the circumstances. It's for me. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand is when you have a gift of foresight and a gift of a prophetic gift where you see things ahead of time. Prophetic gifts manifest themselves in different ways. Not all prophets are seers. Some are dreamers. Some see things, like see visions. Some have more of a sensory perception. Some things are automatically perceived. Some of us have a combination of all of the above at different times. But no matter how it is that it manifests, it's very difficult when you're looking at something that you expected. You knew something was coming. You knew that it was going to be just, all willy-nilly all over the place. And it's different to speak a thing because you see it, or you may see it in part, and then to see it roll out before your eyes and see the disorganization and to see the destruction and to see people whose minds are some on freeze, when you see the hearts of man in relation to different things, it's perplexing. And so when you're in the scripture and you study the major and minor prophets, and you see that one like Jeremiah was called the weeping prophet because he was always crying. God was giving him commands, and he's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, God, but these people, they're not listening. They don't listen. And so because he knows the consequences of their not listening, it made him cry. He was always crying. And then Isaiah was the cussing prophet. Isaiah asked God to put a coal of fire upon his lips to keep him to order his conversation right, because the people made him cuss. I'm a combination of between the two of them, right? And so it's really perplexing, and it disturbs my sleep at night. Oftentimes I don't get a lot of rest because we're in a time of unrest. And to some degree, I have responsibility to speak things out and forewarn people of things to come. So it's a challenging time for me right now.
A challenging time. Listen, smash the share button, smash the like button, let people know that we are on. Subscribe, like, share, follow where you are right now, what platform you're on right now. The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358. Leave your comments in the chat and we will respond to your comments. So listen, back in our beginning shows, right, which we call the definition shows, where we gave definition to terms like anarchist, accelerationist, right? We have a new definition because we have to give definition before we move any further. We have to get the definition of what a coup or what a coup is. C-O-U-P-E. What is a coup? Look up coup, Tanya. C-O-U-P-E. We didn't know what a coup is. And we have to get definition because the media was talking about this was a coup yesterday. We have to get smash the share button, smash the like button, because we are going someplace today. Capitol breach. The message to American blacks. Now, you may think that you might see the obvious message to American blacks, but of course, we all should be moving beyond the obvious. So stay with us. Tell your friends to tune in because we want people to tune in because this is a very important show. It so happened that what would happen on Wednesday would come on the day before, what happened the day before our new Truth Thursday, right? So what is the definition of a coup?
Okay, a slight correction because COUPE kept bringing up the alternative to the sedan. So it's COUP, and it's a sudden, violent, and illegal seizure of power from a government. Or a notable or successful.
Read that part again. Read that one again.
A sudden, violent, and illegal seizure of power from a government.
Okay, and then what's the second definition?
A notable or successful stroke or move.
Okay. Some of the news media was talking about coup. Now, a coup usually has to do with people being armed. You know, if you're overthrowing something, you need to have weaponry to overthrow. So this was not necessarily a coup. Now remember, what did we say on Truth Thursdays? How can people see something totally different in the media? How is it possible to view the same media but see something totally different? Now, let's look up the word insurrection. Look up the word insurrection. INSERECTION. Insurrection. What is the definition of insurrection? We need to know because they were talking on the media that this was insurrection, right? And we need to know what an insurrection is to see if these were truly insurrection is, to go along with the accelerationists and the anarchists that were obviously mixed in the crowd. So what is a insurrection?
It is an act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government. And I have more on coup too.
And is there a secondary definition on insurrection?
Actually, this is from Webster's, and there is no secondary. Just synonyms. There are synonyms for it, but no secondary.
What synonyms are there? What synonyms?
Rebellion, revolution, uprising, revolt, mutiny. Those are the synonyms.
So was what we saw in the Capitol, an insurrection, right? Was that rebellion? Was that a takeover? Was it a takeover, or were there certain agents in the crowd that certain people followed the lead? So you have to ask yourself that, because when you're watching the news media, they will tell you one thing, but you have to be able to look at it different, right? And you have to look at it and say, what is the message to American blacks in this? Now, Rudy Giuliani, they've been. I remember Morning Joe. I was watching Morning Joe this morning, and I remember Rudy Giuliani used to be one of Morning Joe's favorite people, right? He used to be one of Rudy Giuliani. Now, the American blacks and the Haitian blacks and the Jamaican blacks, all the blacks in the melting pot of New York City were saying that when Rudy Giuliani was the district attorney, that Rudy Giuliani was off. When he became mayor, he was off. American blacks and the blacks within that melting pot within New York City were telling the people that Rudy Giuliani was not all cracked up to be what he was cracked up to be. And if he's willing to do one thing to American blacks, what wouldn't he be able or willing to be able to do against another group, even the United States government? But those people did not want to listen, right? Now, I want you to look up, we're giving history before we get started with the memes, because it's very important that you understand this, because they say things like this have not happened since 1812, when the White House was burnt, was sacked, right? The Capitol was sacked, right? By the Brits, right? So look, I want you to look up, Tanya, Andrew Jackson presidency celebration. Andrew Jackson presidency celebration. Now, I learned about this in the 3rd grade, right? In the 3rd grade, because I was doing a report, right? And I didn't know about Andrew Jackson, the Indian killer. I just was doing a report on presidency, and this is what I learned. Now, what you're looking for is holds open house after, and I want you to click that, and it's going to come to a History Channel page, and I want you to read what happened when he held an open house. Do you see that?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so read what happened when he held an open house.
Okay, so these pop-ups keep coming. Andrew Jackson upholds an inaugural tradition begun by Thomas Jefferson and hosts an open house at the White House. After Jackson's swearing-in ceremony and address to Congress, the new president returned to the White House to meet and greet a flock of politicians, celebrities, and citizens. Very shortly, the crowd swelled to more than 20,000, turning the usually dignified White House into a boisterous mob scene. Some guests stood on furniture in muddy shoes, while others rummaged through the rooms looking for the president, breaking dishes, crystal, and grinding food into a carpet along the way. White House staff reported the carpet smelled of cheese for months after the party. In an attempt to draw partygoers out of the building, servants set up washtubs full of juice and whiskey on the White House lawn. The White House open house tradition continued until several assassination attempts heightened security concerns. The trend ended in 1885 when Grover Cleveland opted instead to host a parade, which he viewed in safety from a grandstand setup in the front of the White House.
So that is a history of the parade, and there will not be a parade because Biden canceled the parade. That's just a little history there, right? When did the parade start again, and what president did that?
It was 1885, and it was Grover Cleveland.
Grover Cleveland, right? The parades. So there's not going to be a parade, right? Now, there has not been a sacking of the Capitol since 1812, and this was really not a sacking because the people were not coming in there to try to take over and make a new form of government, no matter what the media is trying to say. We have to cut fact from fiction, because you have to be able to look at the media and see it for what it is, right? But it was a case where supporters of Trump came and they soiled the place up, kind of like Andrew Jackson's supporters came and soiled the place up. They were farmers. When I was a kid, I learned that they were farmers and they were supporters of him who had overwhelmingly put him in the office. And so they wanted to come, and they felt that they had a right to walk into the White House and do what they did. Who is, and his bust sits right in the White House behind Donald Trump. Who is Donald Trump's political idol? I'll give you one guess. Who is Donald Trump's political idol that he has a bust of him sitting behind him in the Oval?
Would that be Andrew Jackson?
Correctamundo. So you see how history can repeat itself in different ways. So they walked in and they mopped up the White House. They mopped it up. They said, remember that episode of Chappelle when Eddie Murphy's brother was telling the story about Rick James, and how Rick James took his muddy shoes and on the White House said, you dark-head. They came in and said, we can do that because we elected him. These people, the Trump supporters, thought that they could come into the Capitol and do that and say that you are still in the election from our man and we voted for him and we are America and we can walk into the people's house because it's our house and we can step and break windows and break in and do all that. And you should be understanding of that because, we're Trump supporters, but more than that, we are white Americans and we built the... Hold up. Wait a minute.
Lies.
No, you didn't. You didn't build that. One message to American black people they should be very clear about is Benjamin Banneker designed it, enslaved, I'm going to say American blacks, because we were here before everyone came. Built the Capitol through the instruction of what Benjamin Banneker designed. So you have no right to walk in and destroy what we built, and you would not have the intelligence to rebuild it if it flattened all the way down to the ground. So that's one thing. So that's one message to American black people is stop allowing certain people to claim being American citizens over you. Listen, the shooter in Kenosha. Well, look up the shooter in Kenosha. I need his last name. McKinney or whatever. The shooter, right? Shooter in Kenosha. All right. Need his name real quick.
It is... Wait a minute.
Need his name real quick. So I can make my point.
Is that the Kyle Rittenhouse? Kyle Rittenhouse?
Kyle Rittenhouse. The Rittenhouse, when you research Rittenhouse as a last name, do you know when they came into the country? They came into the country in 1870, coming across the Canadian border. That is the first time that you see Rittenhouse coming in. They come in across the Canadian border, right?
Mm-hmm.
They built nothing. They came in. It was America was already established by the time they came in. Most of the people that were over, and this is the lesson, this is the message to American blacks who are aware, us who are aware, is don't let people claim to be more American than you, and your people built what they take for granted. were not even here when most of the get down was getting down. Most of those people who were over there in Washington yesterday, their people weren't even here. They weren't even the founders. They weren't here. They weren't the original explorers that came and saw curly hair, what they described as Ethiopians here. Not the red man, but the black man. Let's go to some memes. That's the mess. See, here's what most of us saw. We're going to go through some of the memes, and it's a reoccurring theme, but we have to begin to advance our thinking. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Here we go. Here's the first meme. Well-meaning meme. It says, "We gotta face reality. America KKK is two-faced." Are we just now discovering that, or is it that we have not done enough study of our story, which is the study of the world, actually, to say that all of this could come to quits if we just applied what we learned? Let's go to another meme. This is a distraction, obviously, but we're going through the different memes. I just don't want Van Jones crying on CNN ever again, please. I just don't want Van Jones crying on CNN ever again, please. Van Jones cried the night of the election. Well, that wasn't the night of the election. It was a few days after, when they said that Biden had won. He cried. And he cried like American black people had demanded something for their vote. And really, there was nothing demanded, right? So why are you crying? Because you're going to get much of the same, just in a different way, a little stealth way. Now, let's see. Linus L. Bolton, I guess that's what that is. I can't really read it. Andrew Jackson was opposed of the bankers, central banks, as President Trump. He was opposed to bankers and central banks as President Trump. Right, see, because he's his idol, right? So here's another distraction. You know, you always have to put in the distractions because it never ceases to fail me. We are in the middle of a full-blown opening of the Civil War Part 2. And people will still be posting certain type of memes. Now, this meme says, the look on his face, he's looking like wasn't nobody supposed to know. He's looking like wasn't nobody supposed to know. Now, arguably, outside of makeup, this is not the prettiest damsel, or wouldn't be the prettiest damsel in distress. So we will keep moving, which brings us to this absurdity. That this meme is absurd in the middle of this, and this meme is even more absurd. Let me let you look at that for a minute. Look at that meme. Look at what we see centered right in the middle. the pepper amongst the riotous, I'm just going to call them insurrectionists because the media is calling them insurrectionists. But what do we see in the middle of that image? But it is none other than a black man that happens to be a Trump supporter. Let me move out of the way so you can see him. Do you see him there? Do you see him there? He's right here.
Yep.
He's right here, right? In the middle of this. Now, you best believe they may be having trouble finding some of the people who were actually doing it, who actually smashed out windows, but they will be able to pick this dude up fast. So the person in the meme, they're always going to be able to pick up, as this person says, this Negro must have been down there asking about his stimulus check, because he surely could not be in the middle of that. But however, I did see quite a few, well, not quite a few, a couple specks within the crowd that were taking part in what this spectacle was. And guess who's going to be picked up first? In the CSIN, where just a couple of days ago we find out that the Kenosha AG has decided not to bring charges against the 3 cops that crippled Jacob Blake. The cop shot him 7 times. Usually, if not of a stronger constitute, he probably would have been dead. But he's paralyzed from the neck down. There's no I'm just going to call it anti-cop bill, anti stop killing black people cops bill, because the Democrats scuttled it. And so we go to the same images. People seem to go back to the safe points. This is, smash the share button, smash the like button, because this is very important. People go back to their safe zone. So they got to bring this back up. Colin Kaepernick. So, which is disrespectful? This is a dead topic because the man got his pay, and who are you actually trying to talk to? We're looking for solutions. We already know this. So who are you trying to talk to? Who are you trying to get the notice of to say, hey, can't you see finally that this is unfair? Who are you trying to get? Here's a little information for you. They already know it's unfair. Here's one that I thought was pretty hilarious. I thought this was funny and clever, and it refers back to the 90s, to a song back in the 90s. And it says, Trump told them to tear the club up. Remember 3-6 Mafia? Tear the club up. Tear the club up. Told them to tear the club up. I thought that was interesting. Guess you had to be there. Let's go. So let's go to the next meme right here. All right. Just to reinforce with a different image, CNN, Gary D. James, the infamous DJ Remix, CNN, I don't care what y'all do, just don't let Van Jones be crying live on TV again. And in the midst of that was juxtaposed as an image where the so-called Capitol Police are holding at bay, the insurgency. Let's go to the next meme. Oh my. Okay, I gotta open up. I gotta have that. That is something.
Oh, they're trying to clip. They're trying to
Yeah,
clip.
they're trying to clip. I'm not crazy. Go here. I need that meme. That meme disappeared, and I need that meme. There we go. All right. This is the next meme right here. This is a message, a common message, right? Black Lives Matter protest. The military was armed up. It was standing out there in front of the Capitol. You were not going to invade the Capitol, right? Then the meme goes on to say, one Capitol, two realities. One Capitol, two realities. Trump supporters. Now at this point, you see how the Trump supporters are scaling the wall? That would really actually be target practice, right? Target practice. Now here's another common thought, another regular common thought. Basically, they are showing us how white power works with no consequences.
Well, we've been knowing that how that goes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like we need solutions. We don't need the same old woe is me. Okay, we know that it's like it is. Now, here's one from our brother-in-law, William Jenkins. He says, this potential civil war has nothing to do with us. Just sit back and watch. Be a cheerleader. Now, this is starting to hit the rubber to the road. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Let people know that we are on because we are taking you to this place. Now, in episode 10, Civil War, Are We Blind? We gave you definitions of what you would see, what you were seeing in the streets in the summertime and what you would see in the future. And then in episode 12, Antifa, but is it really anti-fascist? You need to go back and watch both of those shows. Episode 10, episode 12. Right? You need to go back and watch those shows because we lay out in detail, we give definitions in detail of what you are seeing. Now, if you go back and watch the footage when the first barricade was breached, if you look, you see the black helmets. The black helmets are Antifa. They blended into the crowd. Then you have others that are accelerationists. Now, what do accelerationists and Antifa have in common? They want to collapse the state. What is the state? What is the state? The government. The republic, that's a democracy that runs like a federal government. Right? The experiment, the big experiment. And why is the state important to American blacks? Another point, another message to American blacks. Why what our brother-in-law said is also true. We said this way back in September, but
sure did.
But this is also true. What's in common why you wouldn't join either side is they both want to collapse the state, and we as American blacks depend on the state for the laws that protect us on this land. No matter how faultily they do, and no matter how many Jim Crow Esquires or John Crow Esquires or Susan B. Esquires, Susan B. Crow Esquires tried to figure out how to flip the laws around to make it so that we will not be protected. We are protected by the state. Both sides. So the black man that was there with the Trump supporters, and some of the Trump supporters are accelerationists, and some of the anarchists were in to blend into, because they just wanted to break some things at the Capitol because they want to see the state fall. All you have to do is research. This is what they want. Neither group is good for us. Smash the share button, smash the like button, tag people in this because we are bringing information. More detail in episode 10 and episode 12 of hashtag observations TFR. What do you got to say right now?
Also about collapsing the state, what a lot of people don't realize is that if you talk about collapsing a government, forever how long that government is collapsed, you leave it wide open for outside terrorists from other countries to come in and get their part in it and take advantage and get their part in it. So it's really a level of ignorance to this. While all of these people are, in their black and doing their thing that they want to make a name for themselves. Oh, you see on that news clip, I was there scaling that wall. I was there. That was me right there. They're playing games. This is serious business for us, and we have to know where our place is for once. Now, being a part of either side and being a participant on either side is extremely out of order for us. Ain't no camaraderie. There's no kumbaya. There's nothing, no business that we have showing up on either side. That is a civil war. We did tell y'all that last year. It's a civil war, and it's between the anarchists and the accelerationists and all of their subsequent groups that fall up under them. And this is a white person's war. A white person's war. Now, I know y'all, I know we got white friends. I got some too. My grandfather was white, okay? So this is not the issue. The issue is history has told us what it is. And you got to operate not in the idealism of how things should be. You have to operate in the reality of what is. And so what is what is, and this is where we have to position ourselves to stay. We have to position ourselves to survive.
We said we would do the most prudent thing and the knowledge that comes from sage knowledge. Say, we'll just be out the way. We'll be over here, and then once the people figure out whoever wins this, then we would step in and then discuss with them and negotiate with them as far as this is concerned, right? Because they want to collapse the state. This is very important. Was this a coup, however? Was this an insurrection, or was it a temper tantrum? Right? 2001, since you obviously don't know how to come in, sit down and be quiet. I'm going to ignore your punk ass too. Because 2021 is coming in. If you thought that 2020 was bad, you're getting ready to see something. You're going to see some fear. You're going to see more black bodies. You're going to see black bodies sacrificed. Grab your children, hold them close. Right? Now, this is an example of a meme where things are going on, like I said. So this would be like a distraction, but things are going on, like I said, but people are still writing different types of memes. So this is a glass, and it says badass, bad assy, sassy, classy. So depending on where you pour your wine is where you're going to be intoxicated wise. So badassy, sassy, or classy. So where would most women put their wine glass, Tanya? Where would you put your wine glass if you were a wine drinker?
Well, properly, it's going to be just etiquette wise. It's going to be between the sassy and the classy. But I saw that meme. Actually, somebody sent me that who's an avid wine drinker. They were on the bad assy.
Oh, yes. All right. Next meme. What is our USA coming to? The world is watching. Unbelievable. This is still happening. What is our U.S. coming to? The world is watching. Unbelievable. This is still happening. The world really cannot say anything because most of the time the world is dependent upon America for one thing. So this is just like a spat between family members, and you can see your way out to mind your own business. Now, here's one. Now, we have in nauseum broke down BLM, Black Lives Matter. When you see Black Lives Matter out there, when you were seeing it in the summertime, you were seeing mostly Caucasians, right? And so Black Lives Matter is not Black Lives Matter, but here's another meme. This was the scene last summer during the Black Lives Matter protests, by the way. Okay, so they're militaried up. So what does that tell you? What is the message that the people have been programmed, that have been trained to be patty rollers as far as black bodies are concerned? Can we move past that, or can we have that realization and move to solutions? So what is the solution? What is the solution to they militarize against you when you protest for your rights, but when others come in and destroy it, they pull back and say, hey, they're just being defiant. There is such a thing as defiance and being a deviant and being practicing deviance. A deviant practicing deviance is the label that is put on American black who protest. Defiant, practicing defiance is what's put on Caucasians protesting, even to the point where they destroy shit. We told you this, so this shouldn't be a shock. Everybody shouldn't be shocked. Oh my God, this is happening. I can't believe that this is happening. Why are you shocked? Here's something that follows up from earlier in the week. Remember we were talking about what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat by Leviticus chapter 11, right? Now, this meme goes on to talk about how eating pork can then develop into you taking on the characteristics of a swine. For you swine booty eaters, the person wrote, no pork on my fork, right? Why some Christians don't eat pork. One of the many reasons why people are getting deformed fat cells because they don't know this information and they are just eating specific parts of the pig. Whatever parts of the pig that you eat will form fat cells on your body in those areas, as depicted by this Asian man in the meme. So you see how you know that words written 6,000-7,000 years ago are valid is that you see things happen in life in modern time that lets you know. Now, here's a distraction, arguably. Why D-Wade's son look like Urkelbot? Now, if you know, D-Wade's son is in transition from 12 years old to no longer be, it's not the how he was born, but what he feels in his mind that he is. It's not what he was born, but it's what he feels. And we've talked about that in nauseam too. And we've broken that down. And I say, have the surgery, take your prostate out. You got a good 10 years to be what you thought that you were supposed to be born. And vice versa, take your ovaries out, and you will have 10 years to be that, because you should actually be that. You shouldn't have to still go to the doctor and get a prostate test for prostate cancer if you've had the surgery to look like a female in the facade in the front. And that's what we will say to that. Now, Capitol during BLM protest. That picture comes up a lot. Then it says, Capitol today. Did you see the images of, don't forget, we got the package coming, the video is coming, the video package is coming. Did you see the black Capitol Police running up the steps away from the insurgency that was coming? He had his retractable baton extended, and he had a gun on his side, but he didn't want to shoot them. Right there, that is a black man running up the steps who could have stopped them through a warning shot, or doing what was necessary. Come no closer. You cannot enter the Capitol building. They're chasing him up the steps. He's running from them. And it shows you the programming that even we have, that they are children practicing defiance and are not naturally deviants acting their deviant way. Here's another man. I'm Cleveland. Ohio drivers be like, rear defrost will get that. So you have to have a little levity. You have to have levity in the middle of what we're doing. Okay? You have to have a little levity. You have to have levity. Have a little distraction, but stay on task. Now, here's the
I've been guilty.
Haven't we all? We get in the car, and the next thing you know, look at all that snow in the back. Hey, the rear defrost will get that boy for sure. All right. So next up. Here we go. Here's the main argument that I saw all over the net. If that was a black crowd, it would have a lot of people shot, arrested, tear gas, killed, and the army called in. If that was a black crowd, it would have a lot of people shot, arrested, tear gas, killed, and the army called in. Okay. So if we realize that, right? We're realizing that, right? Why do you think that the people that you send over to the House of Representatives can do anything for you? If that was a black crowd, it would have a lot of people shot, arrested, tear gas, killed, and the army called in. Why are you thinking that a vote without a demand on the vote would see a better outcome for you? Why would you think that the representatives that are over there are nothing but figureheads if they cannot get the United States government to see you? We're talking about the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus. If they can't get the government to see you like the government sees the white defiance, not to see you as deviant, what have they been doing over there since 1971? They've been going to lunch and saying, my colleague, my gentle lady from Kentucky, my colleague. They're just over there eating. What has Auntie, what's her name? Maxine Waters been doing over there? Huh? If that meme is true, if that was a black crowd, it would have a lot of people shot, arrested, tear gas, killed, and the army called in. If that's so, if they cannot affect the change, what are they doing over there? And why are you putting your faith into them? And what are you doing? What are we doing? It's a we thing. It's a we thing. It's that mountain lion face that we talk about, right? It's that mountain lion face. You have to go back a couple of episodes to see that. It's that mountain lion face that we talk about the hate within. You know that they're not doing anything, but to just see that symbol over there, you're happy enough with that. We are happy enough with that. Now, here's one from Alejandro Gonzalez. We went to school together at Trinity. I was a senior when he came in as a freshman. I was his senior mentor. He was my freshman mentee, showing him the ropes. I even got him a job up at where I was pushing carts at. I brought him up. He was already in his white shirt, tie, and they hired him. And then his parents came up and did all the rest. But here it is. They sure know how to one up the BLM protests, huh? They sure know how to one up the BLM protests, huh? Now that right there got a lot of laughs. It was hilarious because he's saying that the riotous Trump supporters won up BLM because they walked away with selfies and saying, have a good night now. Come again to the Capitol later after everything has been figured out. And people, blacks in particular in BLM, who were following the anarchists instead of being out the way and not following down that rabbit hole, are charged and doing time right now. And meanwhile, the ones who were doing the anarchist stuff are back in college right now. They were rich. We talked about that. We have episodes about that. Now, this one is an interesting meme, right? This is an interesting meme because this guy decides it is the people's house, so I'm going to take me a lectern home with me. And the caption reads, when your wife says, bring back a souvenir. When your wife says, bring back a souvenir. Right? Now this is in the middle of the people's house. This is the people's house, right? But whose people's house is it? Whose people's house really is it? This is what the message to American blacks really is. Whose house is it really? And when are you going to be willing and ready to take your place? Why are they calling them protesters when they are rioting like rioters? Why are they calling them protesters when they are rioting like rioters? Now, these are black people asking questions, trying to make trying to make a justification for why they see this playing out different, right? So this next one is a meme that I saw. And I said, yeah, okay. So we all know who this person is right here, right? So this says, Nick Cannon out here looking like he's selling prayer cloths and miracles for $19.99. Because, you know, they're taking Nick through the ringer. You know, he got up there and he started talking. He should have just let Griff talk and not try to show bona fides necessarily. But for those who don't know that, that's water under the bridge now. But anyway, Nick Cannon is stripped of everything. They turn, the masked singer turned into the masked dancer, just like that. And the same judges, just like that, just flipped. Everything flipped. They tried to get DC Young Fly to try to take over Wild and Out, and he stood true to the black man who hired him and got him work, and he said, hell no, not until I talk to Nick. I'm not gonna do that. So this is also just looking, because Nick does look a little haggard in this photo. And so this also looks to me like how a lot of us who voted for who voted for the Biden-Harris ticket will look after 4 years of Biden and the first 2 years of Kamala. I mean, I'm just saying, we're gonna be. It's gonna be a whipping. It's gonna be a. Well, let me sit back. It's just a little haggard. It just. You know, Nick has been through it. Nick is wearing like the Jerry curl from the 1980s. You know. It's still half afro, half Jerry curl. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, let's move on.
That's a bad curl.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's another one. Here's one that I saw. It said, "Goodbye 2020. Welcome Snitch Show Part 2 2021." Goodbye 2020. Welcome Snitch Show Part 2 2021. It has dawned on people that changing the year is not going to change this, because we told you in an episode that it is a 3-year and 75-day, what is that? It's prophesied in the Bible that it will be longer. It will be a 3-year situation. And people think it's going to be over. No, it's not. Dig in. Don't let them bring this fear and get you down. We need to have levity. Now, this is a meme that I saw. Shameful. This was put up by Dame Dix. This is America. And they're showing the different people scaling the wall and sitting in the different Congress people's office. Smash the share button, smash the like button, because we have the presentation coming, right? We have to get through. You have to have the right. We have to have the right thought throughout this, because it's getting ready to get worse. Now, just in case your mind, your eyes weren't on the ultimate prize, as we talked about, most people said I'm not taking your vaccine. Just in case your eyes came off the prize, Jay Glover, who is Jay Cool, wrote this meme. We have to remember that zeitgeist cannot deter you from off of what is actually going on, because while the media is covering that, how many people are being forced to take the vaccine? So just a thought on vaccines and vaccinations. I understand trying to go in order of frontline workers, high risk, the elderly, teachers, etc. But due to a lack of people willing to take the shot, anyone who is willing to take the shot should be able to get it and go from there. He put that out to Fox 8 News, WKYC Channel 3, and Cleveland WEWS Television. You know, just giving a suggestion for people. Not like they're gonna take it, because they want to say that they were able to force people to take the vaccination, right? All right. So here's one. Here's one from a person who took a still off of their computer watching what was happening at the White House. Now, as you look at the photo, it's not the best photo in the world. It looks like something from the 1920s. But hey, 1920s race riots, or this right here. Caucasians have been known to pitch a bitch sometimes. Okay, so look. As you see, they're all up and down. They're all up at the Capitol. That's all filled in. If you see, all up here and all up there and all the way around there, they're all encompassing, right? So she writes, "What the holy hell? Now let that been a bunch of African American brown people did some snit like this, it would be another Jamestown, but instead of Kool-Aid, it's COVID-19. Now, arguably, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. It started out good. What the holy hell? Now, let's that been a bunch of now I don't know what year we're in. I know what year we're in. I don't know what year the person who wrote this meme is in. But she said, now let's that been a bunch of African American brown peoples did some snit like this, it would be another Jamestown, but instead of Kool-Aid, it's COVID-19. Now I'm going to take that the person was writing fast and that we couldn't be talking this straight off the plantation dialect here, because most slaves did not talk that way when you listen to the recordings, right? So what the holy hell? Now let's that been a bunch of African American bro. That sounds like Uncle Remus, or hey, look here, Amos. Zippity doo dah, zippity my oh my what? Or what's my other favorite from Walt Disney, racist Walt Disney? Oh yeah, I be done seen about everything when I see a elephant. I be done seen about do. Gotta do some soft shoe. Do. Look, first of all, Jamestown, right? What Jamestown we talking about? And then we know about Jamestown. We know about Jim Jones, right?
Right.
And drinking the Kool-Aid, but the logic of Kool-Aid saying COVID, are you saying that if the blacks had done that, they would be over there spraying COVID in their face? I don't get it. So let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. I just brought that up. I was like, we have to
Like,
have
nice
clarity.
try.
We have to have clarity in what we are talking as American Black people. It's very important. It's very important. Okay, here's one. Here's one. Because the theme is the same, right? The theme is the same, right? It seems like the theme is always the same. Everyone has seemed shocked that this is happening because they have white friends and they didn't know that their white friends was really secretly, long as you're not above me, we're cool. But anyway, whites have stormed Capitol Hill and somebody has been shot. They shoving and pushing and punching on the police. Y'all think they would let us blacks do this? I didn't write this. I'm just reading it the way. You got to have some levity in this, right? Now, let's read this again. Now the image, they're all up on the cap. Let me tell you something. Where Biden is going to be sworn in 13 days, they desecrated that. They walked all on the scaffolding. They did what Andrew Jackson's people did. They stomped on it. Up there they had put the wood to put the metal or whatever the design to make the archway look even more elaborate. Oh, me here. They clip me. Oh, I've got warning. I got multiple warnings here that they really don't. Okay, perfect streaming now. They really didn't want me to put this out. But listen, when you look back on it, when you look at where they were right there at the Capitol, they were standing in that scaffolding and they were desecrating it's so many hateful, evil spirits on that. That is not something that is going to be successful because there's so many evil spirits. They should find someplace else to do the swearing in because they desecrated that. Where they make the archway more elaborate, they had the wood up there and the craftsman had put a design in. The dude had his foot, stamping his foot on it, leaving his boot print on I'm just going to call it woodwork, the detailed wood carving of the elaborate archway. They were stomping on it. They were just stomping on it, putting the flag, saying, no, this is our house. And this person says, whites have stormed Capitol Hill and somebody has been shot. They shoving and pushing and punching on the police. Y'all think they would let us blacks do this? Let that sit for a minute. Whites start acting up and we start going back to the stereotypical language that wasn't really was. Eyes be done seen about everything. When I see a elephant fly, oh why when I see beep, beep. But anyway. Unbelievable. Okay. This right here, this would be open duck season. Do you remember that video game back in the 80s called Duck Hunt? This would be a duck hunt. Now I'm gonna sound stereotypical like everybody else. Now I'm gonna say if that was blacks climbing, scaling that wall, they would be having target practice. But remember, these people are practicing defiance.
Defiance.
We are considered deviants doing our natural deviant behavior. We talked about that on previous episodes. We give definition, we go into detail. They are trying to clip. They do not want this. If this was just rudimentary BS and it didn't really mean what it meant, they wouldn't be trying to clip. Right? So let's see what they're saying on YouTube right now. Deborah Jean Midget, they outnumbered the brother and they wanted him to shoot. They were carrying guns as well. I am glad he used wisdom instead. Fair point. I'll take that. Trace says exactly. Midget also said they walked away as paid domestic terrorists. Sad. I will go there and say yes. Then Deborah goes on to do some crying, smiling faces because they were laughing at some of the memes. They are going to give the Biden administration a difficult time for 4 years, Tracy Trace says. Sad but true with the angry face. It reminds me of the angry tiger face. Yes, because when some of us...
Where's the face at? Where's it
I can't
at?
keep bringing
You should
it
put.
up. I can't.
Hey, listen, you should keep Nick Cannon in one corner and then the angry lion face in the other corner.
Y'all gotta go back to the previous episode. You gotta go back to the episode to TFR Podcast Live episode 141, where we talked about the
And
angry
yesterday.
tiger face. Yeah. So look, this is the common theme, and we need to get up off this and come up with solutions. It's about solutions now. Listen, I remember hearing this, and I'm headed towards 50, so it's at least been said for over 50 years. So it's probably been said longer. We got to get up off of it. It's too old, it's too long, we need solutions. If that was blacks protesting on Capitol Hill, they would be gassed and killed. This is sad and a disgrace to the United States. If that was blacks, if that were blacks protesting on Capitol Hill, they would be gassed and killed. This is sad and a disgrace to the United States. And the reason why...
Well, I got something to say about that.
Okay. The reason why that would appear to be true is because we don't realize that the very person... Oh, it's going to be some sorrowful Nick Cannon faces when they realize what was on the website and they just didn't read. And they realize that this has been a continuous game since this is a game, and we're supposed to be players in the game. It's business. It's important business to American blacks. We're supposed to be players in the game, but we haven't realized that this has been part of the game, that ever since they freed the last slave, 1865, 1867, etc., going on down into the 1890s, it has been a steady stream of letting in immigrants who try to replace American blacks. And the reason why they can get away with that, or appear to get away with it, is because they are valued, because they were immigrants that were brought in. And once you take your rightful place and say, no one can build it like us, no one can bring it, the economy like us, the culture is our culture. All immigrants that come here, they pick up the hip-hop culture. They pick up the church culture. They pick up the jazz culture. They pick up the blues people culture. They pick up the R&B. They call it pop. They pick up the soul. Then they go get Jay-Z. Suit and tie. Then. Anyway. Once we get down to that point and get down to that basis, then we will be ready to take our rightful place and say, quit bringing in these immigrants. We're not going to vote for you until you stop bringing in these immigrants, because those immigrants are going to vote Republican still. What you got to say?
You know, I'm looking at that meme. This is a sad and disgrace to the United States. Well, I mean, just add that to the list. There's a whole lot of things that are sad and a disgrace to the United States, particularly concerning the American black and how they keep moving us around on a chessboard like pawns, and we're not taking our rightful place. As I said before, and I'll maintain this, what really, really, really gets my goal is, or you didn't demand anything, and you gave them something for nothing. And the reason why you're going to be making that mad lion face or that Nick Cannon face is because once you realize it, see, the angry face is going to be towards those of us who told you. The Nick Cannon face is going to be the dejection that you feel from the outside, that you wearing on, that you feel on the inside, that you're wearing on the outside of what we actually told you being true, right? You're going to be looking like that because already, I mean, you should be able to see the writing on the wall right now, because all they've been talking about is stuff they're going to do for other people. Nothing has even come up in the conversation about what they're doing for the American black. How's that starting to feel? See, the reason why I'm so extreme, say I'm extreme when I use the term sodomy and sodomite, because that's the most descriptive thing that I can use as a source of pain and a source of just being degraded and spat upon and whatever else that you want to say. That's why I use the term sodomy. So how does it feel so far? So when are you going to start admitting, and then after you admit it, you're going to have to start thinking of changing your mind and altering your mindset? And you know, I think D has a film clip coming up, but before we go there, I wanted to bring up, we have, every day we've been covering, you know, we have our t-shirts in black. I'm wearing the green. All right. And we also have masks. We have the green mask and the black mask. And this time we are staying, you know, current and true to our situation. So we keep it. We got hats. D just showed you the hat. And there is our frosty mug that keeps the water cold and whatever cold beverage you use. Here's our green mask that I particularly like to cut on this. This goes with the shirt, so I'm going to have to get me some tennis shoes with some green in them. And here is the spot black mask. All of this is good quality stitching here, so it won't be coming apart. It's good quality cotton base. This one has an extra insulation here on the now this one, the green one, if you want to reinforce it by putting those inserts in there, there's the inner pocket here where you can reinforce the mask by sticking there some inserts that you can put there that are like filters. You can put those in that mask. Okay, so now the t-shirts, we have 4 more days on the fundraiser, and we are doing something for the youth. There is a film school, film training for the youth of being behind the camera and all of the technicalities of that. D is facilitating that class and the creator of that class, and it's for our youth. It's time for us to be proactive in steering our youth in other directions, besides just leaving them to their own devices. Okay, so that's what we're about. The t-shirts are $20 for the next 4 days. If you don't have an interest in the t-shirt, you have teenagers in your family, you have nieces and nephews, young people. We want the young people to advertise to the young people as well. Buy up some shirts. They come in all sizes, even the size of the baby sizes. So buy up shirts, and give them away. Try to commit to 5. I mean, come on, we spend $100 on things. We spend $100 on a meal sometimes. It just stays around our waist. Come on and support us. It's a good cause for the youth. Get a few shirts and just give them out. Okay? We appreciate your support in advance.
Yes. Okay, people. So let's start this presentation, right? Let's look at what you might not have seen. And we'll leave it up to you, but this is the message. The message is to the American black is take your rightful place and quit letting people who came into the country as immigrants way after the got down, way after the decisions were made, way after the conquering or the colonization as well as enslavement. Only 388,000 made it to the shore. So does 44 million, or it does 388,000 beget. But let's go through it here. Here we go.
Chaos unravels at the Capitol Hill as the building is stormed by hundreds of Trump supporters.
Okay.
A battle ensues between riot police and the protesters as they break past security. They stormed the Senate chambers to prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's election victory, literally bringing democracy to a halt.
They broke the glass. Everybody stay down.
Police then drew their guns. A woman was shot by police officers and was later proclaimed dead. Some protesters also turned their anger against the media.
I will not tolerate fake news no more.
Or was it okay because they are white? I just have to ask.
Oh my God! Please.
Because
please. No,
I don't think that.
Now, let me pause that for a minute. That's Morning Joe, and I said I was watching Morning Joe this morning. Now, when Morning Joe, when Mika raises a fact that is it because they're white? And this is what we've been trying to get to. It's not because you're black, you see? It's because they're white and they haven't been put in check. So when people say, oh, they harmed him because he was black. No, they harmed him because they were white and mentally deficient. You see? It's all in the language that you use to become dominant and take your place. It's never the black person's fault. When the cops shot the guy 7 times, it was because shot Jacob Blake 7 times in his back, causing him to be paralyzed. He thought he would be dead, but paralyzed, and he just thought he could shoot. One, they're mentally deficient, thinking that black people can take more pain than Caucasians can. So automatically it's their fault because they're white, suffer from white fragility, and because of the white fragility, their mentality is off. It's always their fault. So when it comes down to it, is it because they were white? Why they stop when you get Morning Joe coming up and saying this, who all of the Republican politicians and the Democrat ones too flirted that mansion. He flirts with the racists and votes certain ways that are against American black interests, because they all flirt with the racists. But this right here, Trump caused this. This is no doubt through his words, right? But this is a bigger symptom of what the politicians in this particular era have been doing. It is the politicians' fault, and most of them are white, and it's their fault. And the blacks that are up there that just want to hobnob and do, they're just not, you just can't really recognize them as anything but, they just belong. And we talked about just wanting to belong. So let's continue on.
This would have happened with Black Lives Matters protesters.
Let me tell you something. We don't have to even go there. If these insurrectionists were black, they would have been shot in the face.
Stop that right there, because these two right here, these two men, well, I can't get my finger in front of it, but these two men who are Capitol Police officers, these are two black men walking out, letting these people walk in. The guy is saying, this way, as if the people's house that was built by black people is really their house. How many of us ever go to visit the Capitol anyway, the Capitol that was built by us, designed by Benjamin Banneker? How many of us ever go visit the Capitol and say, oh, this is stood for 200 years, 200, 300 years. Oh, yeah. How come they always knock down the favorite buildings that we remember in the neighborhood to regentrify, to urban revitalize? Can't they be kept and like how we built that? But anyway, let's continue. It's just different thoughts, just different trains of thought. But let's continue, right? The guy said, come on in. It's not even his house. Anyway, let's continue. Though, why was Woody Allen there? Did you see Woody Allen? That was Woody Allen. I mean, that was Woody Allen. I'm almost sure of it. That was Woody Allen. I was like, why is Woody Allen there? Let me back up just a little bit. That's Woody Allen. Now, my head don't screw up. That's that head. That's those glasses. Why was Woody Allen there? At first, I thought this would be a joke and a gag, but the more I look at it, I say, that is Woody Allen. Why is Woody Allen there in the middle of this? Things to make you go, like, there's
Right.
a camera crew there? Like, Did they know that this was going to happen? I mean, I'm just saying, that looks like Woody Allen.
Right, right.
Okay, so let's continue on here.
I just happen to have one. And then right now, so I'm just like, but hey, stay safe. I'm crossed up.
That is where the rubber hits the road. Right? Spec that up a little bit. This guy standing up as the almighty conqueror and retaking the capital. If you don't know, and we told you what this was, this is a civil war. If you did not know that, you for sure know that now. He stands up in front of, on a statue that's supposed to be the triumph of Union soldiers, stands on the bucking horses and flies the Confederate battle flag. A failed succession from the Union. It failed. And you see, the politicians that are over there in Washington flirt with this. All of this has to do with all that flirting with all of it, saying, oh yeah, I understand where you're coming from, segregationists. You can still be in. But they're saying the South will rise again, like they weren't defeated. Like they didn't sign the treaties. Of course, you know, when they signed the Indian treaties, you know. But anyway, that's another story for another time. This is what this is all about. This is what this is all about, right? Now, not everyone that is a Trump supporter has to do with that, but that interfused in with it. It's just like everyone that's about black people rising up, everybody's not about picking up guns and shooting shit, right?
Right.
Different people, different factions that come together in something. They see a value in something. It's just like Black Lives Matter. Most of the Black Lives Matter people who are everyday American black people don't know about the founders being Marxists. They don't know about that. They just see the name BLM, Black Lives Matter. They don't realize that it is a anti-fascist organization, which anti-fascist Antifa infiltrated it and moved it in a whole nother direction. And then after they scuttled Tim Scott's bill, and they said that their bill was dead on arrival, they said, elect Biden. Everything from George Floyd went from justice for George Floyd, get the laws passed so black men and black women don't have to worry about being subject to death at the hands of the police if something goes wrong, or they they encounter a race soldier. The race soldier or the police officer who may have had a bad day will be handled. Once that was scuttled and all that went on, they said, vote, elect Biden, and then we'll do it. But that wasn't anything that anybody got in writing. No one demanded it. You know, it's going to be 4 years before you get them out. And you say, well, we were almost there with the bill. There's no excuse for the Democrats now because they hold both houses. And it's a Democrat. They have no. The first thing they should be talking about is bringing that bill back up, getting a Senate bill driven by the Democrats, being that Harris can be the vote that passes things, that can break the tie. Right? There's no excuse. But this is what this is about, people. This is about civil war. Don't think that your best friend, that you think that you kick it with, that is Caucasian, don't have, if they have people who came from the South, they have visions of the South rising again. Let's continue.
Hey, stay. I'm crossed up. There.
Right there is where Biden is going to be sworn in, right? They stepped all over that. You see that kind of off-white covering. They went all throughout that. They stumped all through that. They just defiled that. But did you hear there was a drill going, like one of those speed drills that drill in nuts or drill in screws? Somebody was still working on this in the scaffolding while all this was going on. You hear it and you're like, someone was working while all this is going on because they're trying to get it done, right? Because they didn't realize that this was happening. Seems like before they invaded that area, right? Oh, they just desecrated all that. I mean, that was just one big desecration. It was just, they just stepped on it. They said, "You dark." They did the Rick James. Rick James did Eddie Murphy's White Couch. You dark. They said Biden is not our president. They did the farmers came to celebrate Andrew Jackson's presidency. They stepped all in the White House and crunched up and smashed cheese and then got on the furniture with muddy boots. See, they cleaned it up on the History Channel. When I read it, it was muddy farmer boots with that farmer mud, and it was all in there breaking dishes and
you know it wasn't just mud.
No, it wasn't. Say that again.
You know, when it wasn't just mud, you knew it was some manure on there. They were farmers.
Yeah, that's where he came from. He was not only an Indian killer, black Indian killer, but he was from a farmer, and they did it. Could you imagine that? And so this is just a repeat of history in a different way, because history will repeat itself if people don't read history and know it. So when I saw it, I said, oh, this is nothing but Andrew Jackson's people coming again, because Trump's idol is Andrew Jackson. Let's keep going.
Just a quick update from the D.C. Fire Department. We're hearing that they have responded and transported at least 2 to 3 people with injuries, and that they are now looking into reports of shots fired at the Capitol now.
Multiple reporters have said that they've seen at least one person being carried out of the Capitol on a stretcher, covered in what appeared to be blood. So, we don't know if that was a protester or a police officer. Obviously, this is...
You see how the American news will lie to you? They just lie to you. They say, we don't know if that was a protester. The British news said they were smashing the windows, and then the Capitol Police shot one shot, and a woman shot, and she died. You have to go to other news sources to get what's actually happening in the United States. They kept on saying, Fox News showed the actual video where the blood was coming out of her nose and her mouth, And then next thing you know, she goes like this, and they're trying to press on where the bullet was. I said, that woman's dead. They said they taken her to the hospital, and then later, way later at night in the evening, it was 9. It was 6 here, but 9 on the East Coast. They said she died. Well, the British news said it automatically. They had the whole story. They showed you where it was and what was happening. They said, and the woman died. You see? But you know what that is? That has to do with when they brought Vietnam into the living rooms in the 60s. And the American people said, this is not good. Our soldiers are dying. Bring them home. And they said they would never tell the exact truth to the American people again, because the American people get wise from watching and from just your lying eyes, right? Your lying eyes are telling you something, and you're like, no, that don't seem right. What's going on? So let's continue.
A completely fluid event. And take a look at this. This is the crypt of the U.S. Capitol. And what you're looking at is essentially hand-to-hand combat between Capitol police officers and these protesters who appear to be trying to storm that area of the Capitol as police officers try to keep them back. That area is called the crypt because it was originally designed to be the final resting place for George Washington before he decided that actually he would rather be laid to rest at his beloved Mount Vernon. But it is an area on the first floor of the Capitol, and I'm just speculating here, but it's likely that police were trying to keep the protesters out of this area because there are spaces in the bowels of the Capitol where lawmakers can be taken to be kept safe.
It is hard to put into words what exactly we witnessed today because we have not seen this before. Thousands storming the Capitol after a rally with President Trump, during which he urged them to march on the Capitol, where a joint session of Congress was debating and working to certify the election as our democracy dictates. Instead, they were halted by protesters who smashed through the doors, broke their way into the Capitol, making it to the Senate chamber, and throughout the Capitol, overwhelming police. Lawmakers diving for cover told to shelter in place, the country watching, the world watching what America looked like today. The mob storming the barriers, pushing through this door, Capitol Police unable to hold them back. Others smashing through windows at the Capitol. There were so many chaotic moments, the tense interactions with Capitol Police overwhelmed, members of Congress and their staffs rushing for cover, reporters told not to reveal their whereabouts. This image tonight of a man walking through Statuary Hall carrying a Confederate flag.
What gets me is there's different degrees of, there's prejudice, bigotry, racism, white supremacy. This is a white supremacist. But do not think just because the reporter is reporting and saying, oh my God, it was a Confederate flag, that he doesn't suffer from one of the criteria we said: prejudice, preconceived notion, bigot, racist, white supremacist. He might just not be that type of white supremacist. We talked about that. We talked about the different white supremacists who are in competition with each other. There's skinheads, there's segregationists. But what do they all have in common? There's Nazis. What do they all have in common? Southern sympathizers that say the South will rise again. What do they all have in common? They see the state fall so they can, because they don't care about black people. That's right. But you have to know the different type, because you can be in a situation where you're out there, you're a black woman, and you're out there partying. Next thing you know, they get you drunk and they got you doing all kinds of nasty things, and you thought that it was just part of the party, but really they were doing that because they saw you as an animal. You got to know what type of racists you're dealing with. So let's continue on. This is getting real interesting here, and just to show, don't feel anything because of me. You say, oh my God, it's a Confederate flag. Don't feel anything, because they'll turn around and cover a story about a black person and say, well, wasn't he's 14, but isn't he really an adult? Isn't he really a man? He's 14, but isn't he really a man? Or they'll cover the shooting of Mike Brown and say, well, the police said this, and we can't be sure. Even though the American black people, like American black people and all the other black melting pot in New York, were saying, Mayor Giuliani, something's wrong with him. District Attorney Giuliani, something's wrong with him. But now that it's affecting America, now the Caucasians know something's wrong with Giuliani. Let's go.
Another startling image from inside the office of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Some trying to breach the House chamber, armed security barricading the door, keeping them out. Behind them, members were taking shelter, some of them on the floor, some told to grab their gas masks to protect against tear gas. In an empty Senate chamber, this Trump supporter at the front of the chamber declaring Donald Trump won that election. What are you hearing tonight from your sources inside the White House about how able they are to actually communicate with the president?
Well, first of all, David, Twitter, I'm told, had just removed that video because of the false statements about the election. And it's notable that in that video, he actually went on to say to the people that stormed the Capitol, and this is an exact quote, "Go home. We love you. You are very special." Just a short while ago, he tweeted that these are the events and the things that happen when, quote, great patriots have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. So in other words, he is actually justifying the actions of those that stormed the Capitol.
I think a lot of us have some questions, a lot of questions, not just for Donald Trump. I've got no questions for Donald Trump. He's an insurrectionist. There are no questions. He should be arrested today. He should be sent to jail today for insurrection against the United States of America. But I do wonder this morning why they weren't better prepared for this. Why weren't the Capitol Hill police better prepared for this? Why wasn't the city of Washington, D.C. better prepared for this? Why wasn't the National Guard better prepared for this? Why weren't law enforcement agencies all across the region better prepared for an invasion? An invasion against the People's House, against the world's greatest delivery body. And for those of you who have never been up on the Capitol, I spent quite a bit of time there. And even as a member of
I'm going to cut that outrage because Morning Joe, he's played the card too. He's been, like Tracy Trace says, Morning Joe's racism comment, the fact is raised only when it is convenient for them. Wicked ass patriots. That's what Stuart Elsie said. Listen, the only true patriots of the United States are American black people. And why?
Yeah.
You know, we may talk shit. And we say, this has been fair, and there's some old phase, there's some crackers. We're going to talk that shit. But you know what? When it's time to step up, we step up. We got people in the military, all the branches of the military, right? We got people out there working to try to make America a better place. Even the people over there, even though they are feckless and they can't seem to stop the people in the neighborhoods being victimized by police. Even if you're not killed, you're harassed by what would be considered an invading force into your neighborhood. And we
Right.
talked about how to eliminate that. The more land you own that they roll on, you wouldn't have that problem. But that's another story. Go back and watch that episode. Go back and watch that morning show stuff. That morning show, to me, they all flirted with this racism. It's the politicians' fault. Trump was the culmination and was brought into existence because of the craziness. And you know where this really lies? It lies in the lap of someone who has been very quiet, Hillary Clinton. She's the one who came out with, who released the document talking about Obama was not born in America, that, you know, and then Donald Trump picked it up and ran with it because he was a donor to the Clintons. So if they're saying it, then it must be true. She's the same one who released the so-called dossier on Trump, because this was all what I want to call it counterintelligence, but it has to do with finding information out to try to fight against an opponent with when you're trying to be elected. She didn't win, so she released it, and the media picked it up and ran with it, and in the end, none of it was true. This lies in the lap of the wicked-ass patriot, in my opinion, Hillary Clinton. That's where it lies. That's where it lies. That's where it lies.
And she's very quiet right now.
And she is very quiet because she doesn't want people to bring that up or just go research that. So all this lays in her lap, which means what type of president would she have been? How many wars would we have been in? And how many people would have been coming back in body bags for the so-called greater good of America? So people, we got a 1 minute and 39 seconds. Make it real quick on the closing so we can close out real quick.
Well, this has been another information-packed show. I'm trusting that you took your notes. There's some other things. On every show, you should have things that you want to go back and investigate even further, go deeper, make it a practice of that. And I look forward to being with y'all tomorrow.
People. All right, people. So they've been trying to clip us a whole episode. This has been another robust episode. This was Truth Thursday. Friday is freaking Friday. And do we have a lot of recap of the week to go through? Stay tuned. We come on 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on the spaces that you see us playing now, right? And we appreciate you, and we will see you again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. Hashtag observations TFR.
Here's the thing about Germany, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe community, heart. You're doing it.
Crazy.